shame to believe in escape, a laugh on every face, and that's a change. Till I'm finally left with an eight. Tell me to relax, I just stare. Maybe I don't know if I should change a feeling that we share. It's a shame. Such a shame. Number me with rage. It's a shame. Such a shame. Number me in haste. Such a shame. This eagerness to change.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tarnation TV's broadcast, and also being broadcast on the Flat Out Racing Network. Race number 6 of season number 66, Rolling Thunder Gaming, the Talladega Challenge, here on Thursday evening. We've got a lot of drivers, as always, out here racing around this track, doing a lot of practicing tonight, coming off that huge broadcast you guys just did last week in honor of David Cannon. Anyway, my name is Blaine Donlan, joined, of course, by the Flat Out Racing Network crew of Kyle Matthews and Seth Cole. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, and we're into the nitty-gritty portion of the season here now. This is going to be the 2/3 mark of the regular season. We've had 5 previous races, 4 different drivers have gone to victory lane. It's been the Chuck McClure show here in terms of consistency as he continues to ride a 5 straight top 5 streak with 2 wins included as well. I mean, he cemented his spot in the playoffs last week and now has his eyes turned toward that regular season championship. And but before I get your thoughts here, Kyle, we have to first get some preliminary stuff out of the way. Happy birthday! Your happy birthday here tonight, and seems appropriate too, because Kyle he's the throwback guy, and tonight is throwback night here for the RTG drivers.
Oh, just perfectly timed right there. Thank you very much, both of you. Looking forward to this race. Last week, the last couple of weeks, like you said, Chuck McClure, a lot of momentum going here. See if he can keep it up, and he's got a pretty good qualifying draw as well, I see on the screen there.
You're going to be starting from the outside of the front row, and a lot of times, it's a bit of a disappointment to see Chuck starting up at the front because he's so much fun to watch when he starts at the rear, carving his way up through the field. But I don't think he will turn his nose up at good starting track position in this one. Obviously, we've talked about this the last couple as well, and we haven't yet seen certain drivers be able to turn the corner. I talked a couple of weeks ago with Jeremy Jeffries, the defending champion of this series. He is sitting 30th in points. He's got 2 top 10s on the season, but his other 3 races, they've just not been there. This is a driver, I hate to say it, and it's maybe not mathematically correct, but you have to think that he might be coming into this race with only 4 races left in the regular season, maybe thinking must-win mentality.
If I was buried that deep down in the standings, I would be thinking the same thing, honestly. And yeah, that is probably the biggest surprise of this season so far. And it just goes to show you how competitive and how tough this series really is.
A lot of other former champions down there mired in the point stands as well. Richard Martin's 25th, Tim Nofsker 26th, Bob Seminara 27th. These are probably going to be some drivers that we're going to be keeping our eyes on during the course of this race. See if they can get up there, because it doesn't matter how bad a season you are having, winning makes everything better, and it kind of makes your job easier in trying to get into the playoffs as well, because from that point on, your goal is just to get up into the top 20 in the standings to get one of those valuable wildcard spots and be able to participate in the postseason.
And
it's
all
also
those guys, about all those guys you mentioned right there are more than capable of coming out there and pulling out a victory. So I mean, it's not over for any of them, even though they are not where they want to be in points.
Got the command to fire up the engines here as we've got Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Darrell Waltrip on the front row. I'm sorry, Glenn Harris and Chuck McClure making up row number 1. Row 2 is going to find Mike Mangialardi and Kelly Causey. Robert Spring, Joe DeSpirito, they're back in row 3 with Grant Wesley and Dan Panatello making up row 4. Your top 10 going to be completed with Richard Martin and Milt Surratt. Row 6 finds Mark Paglia and Denny Carroll, Greg Palmer and Jessica Loralee back in row 7. Row 8 with Bernie Mobbs and Robert Breedlove. Rodney Sullins is back in row 9 with Craig Hagley. And the top 20 will be completed with Bob Dixon and Jeff Crivello. Row 11 finds Jeffrey Elliott and Josh Metallic. Brian Schilling's back in row 12 with Billy Elliser. Tim Nofsker, he's in row 13 with Dennis McCarthy. Row 14 finds Terry Bombard and John Godfrey. And then your top 30 with Bob Seminara and Bobby Farrell. Rest of the field here tonight, as there'll be 37 drivers taking the green flag, will include Cy Jones, Randy Waugh. You're not doing it, Kyle? You're not doing it tonight?
Do what?
I mentioned the Randy Watt name.
Luigi. Sorry.
There it is. Javier
Distracted there, I'm
Negron.
sorry.
All good. Javier Negron, Ken Roberts, Brian Rawson, and Jeremy Jeffries going to be the remainder of the field. Now, interesting, you may be wondering, why is Jeremy so far back in the field? Had some connection issues here just prior to going to the random qualifying draw. Was not in the server at the time they kicked it forward. So he's starting shotgun on the field here tonight. We're used to seeing Brian Rawson and others voluntarily start at the back, but not the case there for the one machine. He's going to have to pass a lot of cars to be able to get up here as he looks to climb his way up through the point standings. Also the second week, I should say, of the bracket challenge. We'll be talking about those matchups. A couple of drivers are automatically moving on with some no-shows, but 66 laps of racing here tonight in season 66, race number 6. Lot of sixes as Glenn Harris and Chuck McClure's Chevrolets take the green flag.
Yeah, the number 6 and the number 646. I don't know. I was looking for more sixes, but your front row doesn't include any.
There's 2 6s in the track length, 2.66 miles.
There you go.
It's usually 8's wild. You see the 8, but usually we see Grant Wesley and Tim Knopsker run together so many times. See nothing but 8's up there, but Chuck McClure got a good jump on that outside. They got a much more organized line. He's going to take the lead right now with Kelly Causey and Joe DeSpirito right behind him.
Is there a reason for the throwback races? Is there a method to that, or do they just pick random weeks to do it?
It's every other week. So
okay.
they basically, I don't know if it was for one reason or another. I think for one thing, it was, there were a lot of throwback schemes that were run back when they had the Aero 88 cars, so I think a lot of drivers wanted to bring back throwback schemes here and have it on a more regular basis. Another reason might be because Rodney Sullins, the busy beaver painter here for RTG, ended up painting a lot of throwback schemes and wanted them featured, which I can't blame him for.
Yeah, get them out there, get them on the screen, especially in a broadcasted race.
In my opinion, you don't need a reason to run a throwback. No. I'm all for it anytime.
Yeah.
I've run quite a few myself here. Seth, you painted a bunch of them, so they've all turned out really good. And all the cars I see out here look really good too.
Top 4 in that middle lane, single file, back to Richard Martin in the 43. Then 3 wide from 5th place on back. Mark Paglia heading the inside line. Robert's in the sucker hole right now.
And Paglia
he disappeared. We'll see if he reappears here. That's going to be some tense moments for the drivers up here towards the front. But I was going to mention that outside line, Jessica Lorley, along with Robert Breedlove and others, making some good ground.
There's a car against the wall back there. I can't see who it was. Let me check.
That's Paglia.
That's Paglia, yeah.
He's stalled up there too, and it's starting to migrate down the banking. More than likely, if he's not able to teleport to pit road and the field comes around, it'll probably bring out a yellow.
I would hope that it would if he's going to be stuck up there. That is not looking good at all right
No,
there.
he is making his way down. Okay, it looks like he has gotten off the track.
I saw the 7 car also. He was on the apron while that was going on. Not sure what happened to him, but he's falling way back there in the...
Nope, Paglia's back. Oh, look out! Oh,
boy,
he just got clobbered. Oh, I thought he had teleported back to pit road. He blinked out, came back in. He was still there. And there was apparently no communication of where he was. He was right in the middle of the track. John Godfrey's upside down. Dennis McCarthy's done. Donnie Garrett is done. I'm not certain, guys, and I honestly would not be opposed to it. I almost wonder if they would do a race restart with these circumstances.
Personally, I would hope so. Something like that happening. Like I said, we have no idea what was going on with the 28 there.
That. That's weird.
I mean, the tough thing was, as you said, Blaine, he was parked up there against the outside wall in the corner. So the car was going to, by gravity's standards, was going to start sliding down the track. And by the time they got to him, he appeared in the middle of the racetrack. I don't know.
Thanks, Rodney.
Obviously, I think they were keeping an eye on the F2 for a brief moment there when I was cycling through.
And the
28 disappeared.
They are going to restart them.
They are. Okay, I don't blame them for that.
Yeah, you guys probably couldn't hear that. The broadcast did, though. The voice that came through was Rodney Sullins. He says they're getting ready for a restart just because that's...
Just a really strange circumstance right there.
Yeah.
Not sure what was going on with Pagula, if he was AFE or whatever, but...
I wonder if it's a combination of, like, maybe he had an issue with the modem or something, and then it just... I don't know. Or the game, maybe he got kicked back to the desktop and the game was still running, so now you're not getting any controller input. Because the car was still there.
That would make the most sense, because with the car still being there, it would have been, after a certain amount of time, he would have fallen out of the server, but with the car still on track, certainly, to your point, seems like game would have minimized. And then in terms of the communication problem, he fell out of the TeamSpeak, so he wasn't able to verbally let anybody know where he was. He may not have even known where he was at that time, even if he had been in here.
Initially, he just warped out, and then somehow responded.
And
back
we're
up
on the
against
broadcast going, "Watch out, turn 3, boys!" Or turn, I think it was turn at the exit of turn 2 or whatever. And it's like, but they can't hear us, obviously. But
and I think in that situation too, I was gonna say when they were approaching into the turn 1 area, it looked like the 28 disappeared again. So I thought that maybe he had either called a tow or had retired from the race. He had gotten it all sorted out there and was out of the way. I think that's what everybody else thought as well. I'm certain that they were checking their F2s, and when they saw the 28 disappear from their relative, they might have thought the exact same thing. When they got to the center of 1 and 2 was when he reappeared. By that point, there's no time to react.
Well, as you can see, they're going to rock him up and try it again here. I agree with this decision here.
I do too. Yeah.
Something that happened out of everybody's control there. So.
Yeah, and I mean, in the case of, like, there were a half dozen drivers right there that their night would have been over immediately. Donnie Garrett and John Godfrey and Dennis McCarthy. I don't think that those cars would have been able to repair if they had been. There's no way they would have been up to speed, and they would have had to just literally crawl around the rest of the night. So when there's something like that, that's completely out of everybody's hands, I have no issue. It was, only 3 laps into the race there, so yeah, no issue with the reset.
Yeah, there's some action in the YouTube chat wondering, like, what just happened? It's like, well, technical glitches on the side of the 28 for sure. The car just parked up there on the wall.
The 28 car owed a lot of people money, and they were there to collect.
Yeah.
It's weird how the car stayed on the track and just slowly kept flickering its way down the banking. I've never really seen that before.
And if Pagula is able to reconnect, he will be 1 lap down to start with. They're going to get all of his laps back except for 1. So
yeah, he has connected into the TeamSpeak, so we'll probably see him at some point get back into the NR server and back onto the racing surface here. I guess better to have something like that happen here in the early stages as well, where you've got the chance for the reset, because imagine if that had happened second half of this race, then what do you do? I mean,
yeah,
there's nothing you can do in that situation. Too many laps have been run. You don't really have the option of a reset.
I think they were on lap number 4 when that happened, so had plenty of time to restart this thing. So here we go. Going to try it again here. Glenn Harris on the front row there with Chuck McClure. Here we go.
Yeah, we saw Chuck McClure be able to get that race lead pretty handily, and they got single filed out. Now maybe they've played their hand, showed their strategy. We'll see what that inside line can do to maybe counter it here.
Flat Out Racing Network YouTube chat, we've got Shadows on Fire. That's obviously rooting for the 712 of Seminara. On the Tarnation TV side of things, we actually play Shadows on Fire, his music. One-man band over there, I'm pretty sure. And of course, thank you everybody for watching the Simulcast tonight. Broadcasting on Tarnation TV and on Flat Out Racing Network.
Absolutely. Glenn Harris might actually lead this lap here.
Yeah, so they're a lot more.
They figured something out from the initial start.
Yeah, they're a lot more organized on the bottom here. They come to the line, and yeah, just barely. Already got a third line going here.
I was going to say, we're in replay again. Jess, Robert, and Craig, they were like, hey, that third line worked the first time. Let's do it again.
Yeah, Jess was leading that thing. Then Robert Spring jumped up in front of her. Now he's leading that outside line.
That reset was big for Dan Panatello as well. We saw him kind of bail out on the back straightaway in the early going of the initial start, and he lost the draft. He's at the tail end of the field right now, but looks like he may be able to still stay with them. So that caution and that reset actually helped him out as well.
Now, is he required to start back there? Because I don't recognize that name.
No, he actually didn't start there. I think he went back there on his own.
Okay.
Saw him go down below the yellow line on lap 1 on the back straightaway to let pretty much the rest of the field on by. I think he's just kind of in ride mode right now.
Because I know sometimes with new drivers at Rolling Thunder Gaming, they require you, like, you're not allowed to qualify. But then they're doing a lot of qualify, so that's kind of not going to work.
And you can see on that number 7, an interesting looking scheme. There's a reason behind it. That Tommy Baldwin number 7 font, very familiar. Tommy Baldwin Racing has a modified team. Dan Panatello, a crew member of that team. So he is running the Tommy Baldwin Racing modified livery on that Dark Horse Mustang.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Somebody that's actually on an actual race team in this series. Oh, that's awesome.
Looks like they've given up a bit on that third lane. So Breedlove, Laura Lee, Hagley all jumped down to the middle. Robert Spring still up there, and only a few drivers offering some help in the form of Jeff Crivello, Brian Ross, and Dennis McCarthy.
Yeah, it looked like that outside line. Not everybody was running really where they needed to be. I think the 74 was a little bit higher than the 17 was behind him, and they just were losing a lot of ground when that was going on. So.
Robert Breedlove now jumping to the inside here. Looks like the top 6 are single filed back to Josh Metallic, who now will have Breedlove to his inside. Bit of distance from Breedlove back to Mike Mangialardi, so that inside line not quite finding the momentum that they need, and that's going to help Shelton clear. McClure is going to clear, Hagley as well. All of a sudden, everybody is migrating to that middle groove.
Chuck Clear, your multi-wins, right? He's got 2 wins this season. Has become the first driver in season number 66 to record multiple wins with 2. Also recorded 5 top 10 finishes in the first 5 races. Can you believe that one?
And not only that, he comes into this race with a lot of breathing space for the points lead as well. Yeah. For the last couple of weeks, it was a dogfight, single-digit points between him and Denny Carroll. Coming into tonight, 29 points to his nearest competitor, which right now is another former winner on the season in Grant Wesley.
He's currently the only one over 200 points total in first.
Yes.
He's probably the only one in this field that's completely comfortable.
And that makes him dangerous.
In terms of people that are running full-time for the championship.
Well,
Jessica Worley looking to the inside here. Jeffrey Elliott doesn't really have anybody behind her, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, think about the amount of drivers that come out here every single Thursday to race here. To get 5 top 10 finishes in the first 5 races, it's unreal.
In a super speedway series at that makes it even more impressive how much of a... Because we've seen how much of a crapshoot the super speedway races can be a lot of times. If you're consistently in the top 10, that is very impressive.
9 regular season races this season. I don't remember, maybe you'd remember, Kyle, if it was 8 or 9 regular season races. We have seen a driver actually finish top 10 in all the regular season races. That was Brian Schilling. So yes. McClure trying to match that maybe. And you talk about, the confidence there for Chuck McClure. We've had Joe DeSpirito, Grant Wesley, Denny Carroll all go to victory lane here as well. And, we've said it. Any driver in this field on any given night can win. They've got the tools, they've got the skills to be able to do it. When they're able to have the confidence of knowing they have a victory and they are locked into the postseason for the rest of the regular season, provided they stay in the top 20 in points, that to me just makes them all the more dangerous because now they've got freedom. It can go outside the box in terms of strategy. They can be more aggressive in the moves that they make. Other people, they have to big picture race and think, am I willing to risk 15 to 20 spots if I make a mistake making a move for just one position? Those guys, they don't have to worry about that.
Oh, no. It's a position of power right there. It's like Jeffrey Elliott's got help from, I believe that's Josh Metallic right behind him, and that Ryan Newman U.S. Army throwback.
Very brave to run a Ryan Newman throwback at Talladega.
At a super speedway, yes. Ryan Newman really didn't have much luck at the super speedways other than winning the Daytona 500 in 2008. But that 8 car up in front, that paint scheme leading at Talladega, that is a familiar sight if you were a fan back in the early to mid 2000s. It's a very familiar sight with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
You know, we talked about a couple of
Pod Piper right now.
We talked about a couple of drivers, how having that grid reset, how it helped them out. It helped Glenn Harris out because he ended up getting bypassed by Chuck McClure on the initial start of the race, faded back to around 6th or 7th, learned what Chuck's strategy was, and adjusted his strategy accordingly. And because of that adjustment, he's been out in front here since the drop of the green flag after starting on the pole position.
Ended up picking up some bonus that he wasn't able to get the first time around. So, yeah, definitely paid off for him. Looks like Richard Martin now leading that inside line. He's side by side with Blake Causey for that second spot.
Richard Martin, the man that broke the playoff system, picking up the championship by 1 point and didn't win a single race that entire season. Just an update.
Consistency always good to have.
I was just going to mention an update on Mark Paglia. He did get back into the server. They have gotten him to all but 1 lap down. So looks like he is just up ahead of the race leaders, may lose a second lap. The good news for him is he is right now the only driver off the lead lap. So should he lose this second lap here under green, 2 cautions and he would be back on the lead lap here. But this is a situation as we're 3 wide, 5 rows deep, and we're going to catch him off the exit of the corner.
Oh boy, Palmer and Harris got really close right there. Everybody keeping it together, though. Everybody doing a nice job getting by that slower car. Yeah, that's a...
Looks like a Lord of the Rings movie or something.
I mean, it's bad enough coming off of turn 4. I've seen them have to do that. 3 wide, 4 wide off that corner. But off of turn 2, drivers will tell you there's a major push-up on that inside line. So the middle line moves up accordingly to give space. The outside line has to in a 3-wide situation. If you're at the 28, you can't go any further than the wall, so everybody has to condense as they're making their way by you.
When that happens in the tri-oval, it's a piece of cake because it feels like it's 9 lanes wide out there.
Yeah.
But right here in turn 2, not so much.
I was just told that Donnie Garrett fell out, I believe out of the server.
Yep, looks like that is the case. So hopefully have him getting back in here, and he'll probably have the same situation as Paglia, where they'll get him to all but 1. A couple more people on the Flat Out Racing Network side in the YouTube chat. Brian Wolf will be covering his ASR Super Speedway Series this Sunday night. They've got 3 races left to go till they crown a champion. And Tarnation TV broadcast colleague Rod Weston chiming in there as well. Appreciate everybody tuning in to the coverage here tonight. Missed an interesting first couple of laps here this evening.
Yeah, really. Reset the race about, what was it, about 5 or 6 laps in?
Yeah, roughly. About 4 or 5 laps.
Not too far away from the first round of pit stops. I was told about 7 laps projected everybody should be at.
All Chevys up here at the front. They currently hold the top 6 positions. Then you've got the Ford of Craig Hagley breaking up another group of Chevrolets. Hagley right now in the 7th spot. Mentioned about the fact this is the second round of the bracket challenge. Of course, drivers that were eliminated last week still have an opportunity to get into the championship battle. They're going to be duking it out on the loser side of the bracket. We'll have most of our focus, at least in the early going of the season, on the winner's side of the bracket, and a couple of drivers coming into tonight with automatic buys to move on to the next round. Chuck McClure was going to take on Cody Lamas. Cody not in the field here tonight, so McClure will be moving on, the number 1 seed. And then Donnie Garrett came in tonight against Pat McCarsky. McCarsky not in the field, so Garrett will move on, but still some good battles that are going to be followed up here. Actually, I believe there's one other driver that is moving on, and that would be Craig Hagley. He was going to take on Denny Carroll, but Denny is not in the field here this evening either. Oh, no, Denny is in the field. I'm blind. Never mind.
Yeah, see him right there. In front of one of the Menards cars, it looks like. It's like Jessica Loreley leading that middle line now. Grant Wesley right behind her. She is up to the battle for 4th position, it looks like.
Trying to get the right rear quarter. The panel of Chuck McClure, currently alongside of Brian Rawson. Brian Rawson started this race next to last. He was back in the final row with Jeremy Jeffries, and 15 laps in, up here inside of the top 5. 16th in points coming into tonight. Multi-time winner a few seasons ago. Other drivers that started near the rear of the field as well, I'm starting to see make their way forward. That red number 21 of Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
8th car on the inside line there. Trying to make his way into the top 10. He started back outside of the top 13. Caution is out.
Yeah, somebody lost an engine. Couldn't see who it was.
Milt Surratt on the Tide Ride.
Oh.
And this was just on the eve of green flag pit stops. Debris caution for the engine failure on the number 80. So everybody gonna maybe breathe a bit of a sigh of relief that they're not gonna have to worry about coming to pit road under green flag conditions, at least for this first cycle of pit stops.
Pit road's gonna be congested. Though that's the only.
Yep,
the only
and it looks like Mark Paglia and Donnie both get back on the lead lap. So after the field had gone by Mark Paglia and put him -2, they added the lap to put him to -1. And Donnie Garrett came back in. They got him all but 1 lap back with 2 free passes under this caution. Those 2 drivers will get back on the lead lap. Tough break there for Milt Surratt. His 2nd start on the season.
Third,
And he was running.
I think he
up
had
in
2
the lead
starts
pack.
prior.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, because I had a graphic for him, and it was, let me see. I did just put it up there, too. In the first 5 races, 2 starts, tonight being the 3rd, so. Has 1 top 10 finish that came last week, he got 10th.
Yep.
Currently in 40th with 49 points. That top 10 finish last week bumped him up 8 spots, and he's 160 points from first. Fortunately, retired from the race with an engine failure.
Going to be the first retiree on the evening. Going to get credit for the 37th position. Tough break there coming off that top 10 run last week. Trying to build some momentum. No surprise, everybody was on pit road with the exception of 1. That was Dennis McCarthy, who's going to get himself a bonus point for a lap led. Jeffrey Elliott actually going to win the battle off of pit road over Richard Martin and Chuck McClure. Now Jeffrey qualified back in 23rd. A lot of drivers will talk about that first pit stall. It's so difficult to be able to get the launch out of your stall to get to the commitment line. You usually want to stall a little bit further back so that way you can get a rolling run to the commitment line, and that might be why Jeffrey Elliott was able to snipe Richard Martin to eventually be the control car when we go back green, provided the 024 comes to pit road this next lap, which I'm pretty sure he's going to.
That might be my favorite throwback paint scheme in the race tonight. Right,
You're not
there.
a Jeff Gordon fan at all, are you?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Rainbow Warriors, number 24 car. What year would that be? That's like early 2000s, right? Or would that be the 90s?
That would be from 92 to 2000, essentially. Paint scheme's a big part of my childhood right there.
And he's going to bring that machine down pit road. Gives up track position, but gets himself a valuable bonus point for a lap led. That will turn the race lead over to Jeffrey Elliott. It's going to be Elliott's first lap led of the evening when he crosses the start-finish line. So far, Richard Martin has led 6 laps. Glenn Harris has led 9. Chuck McClure's led 1. And Dennis McCarthy just led the most recent lap. So interesting the timing of this yellow too, because it really doesn't change much in terms of fuel strategy. These drivers were only about 2 laps away from when they were going to have to come to pit road under green flag conditions. So still looks like whatever mentality you would have had coming into this one, running green from start to finish, you're still probably going to have to stay on that page of the playbook. So Garrett and Paglia go around, get their laps back. 36 drivers still running. All 36 will be on the lead lap. Only driver out of the race. This most recent yellow, the engine failure for Milt Surratt. Like Jeffrey Elliott and Richard Martin going to be the front row for the upcoming restart, with Chuck McClure and Grant Wesley in row 2. Josh Metallic and pole sitter Glenn Harris, row 3. Joe DeSpirito, Ken Roberts, Robert Breedlove, and Brian Rawson are going to be the top 10. For those wondering about those other bracket challenge matchups here tonight, Bernie Mobbs taking on Brian Rawson. Grant Wesley's taking on Javier Negron. Denny Carroll and Craig Hagley. And John Godfrey versus Joe DeSpirito, Brian Schilling against Mike Mangialardi, and then Billy Elliser taking on Rodney Sullins. Winners of those matchups will move on to the round of 8 next week. Those that have the losing efforts still will have a shot, as they'll fall down to the loser's side of the bracket and look to advance their way into the finals via that path. Lap 20, about to go up on the board. Nearing a third of the way through tonight's race, Jeffrey Elliott. Control car, but did not get quite as good a launch there. Richard Martin almost clear by the time they enter into turn 1.
I was curious to see how that restart would go. They both had, the 2 cars behind them, Chuck McClure and Grant Wesley. They were both on the back bumpers of the cars that were right in front of them. But it looks like Wesley was able to give Martin a more timely push right there to get him to the lead.
Sometimes, looking from the spectator point of view, you don't quite always get the accurate reading of what gear drivers are in. I know that it's very close to the upshift from first to second gear, the 70 miles per hour that they run around under pacing. And if you can time it just right in a first gear restart, you can get that launch that we saw the 43 get. Jeffrey Elliott looked like maybe he started in second gear, which in order to be able to keep the lead, you kind of have to get a bit of a rolling start of momentum towards the start-finish line. You have to time when the green flag is going to come out. He was able to cross Richard Martin back over, and they're knotted up for the race lead. So still side by side between these two, shades of what they looked like when they came to the green for the restart.
Carway on the apron there. It's 71. We saw that in the initial start of the race, and not sure if that was done by design or what there. But
He lost a lot of speed there, too. It looked like he was letting the leaders on by, but he took quite a while getting back up to speed, entering into turn 3, and he is definitely going to lose the draft. Bob Dixon's also towards the back of the pack here as well, trying to stay latched on to the slipstream of Donnie Garrett, who just got back on the lead lap. Rewind mid-pack. Now towards the front of the field. They saw all those drivers jumping up around the 15th to 20th position, and now up inside of the top 10, top 5. They're going to use that energy. Grant Wesley, as well as Ken Roberts up there on the outside line.
Grant Wesley was right there in the middle, right in front of Richard Martin, saw an opening to go to the outside and took it. Now he's leading that outside line.
Robert Breedlove's up there, along with Kelly Causey and Richard Martin, Glenn Harris. They are going backwards. No help in that middle line. Do that Robbie Gordon throwback of Bernie Mobbs working his way up there behind Jessica Loralee. Bernie Mobbs in that fight here this evening with Brian Rawson, who's about 5 cars back in the bracket challenge. Bernie Mobbs also coming into this race 6th in the point standings. There's been kind of, when I was examining the top 12 in the standings at the conclusion of last week, there's some sneaky, consistent names that have migrated their way up there and stayed up there inside of the top 10. Bernie Mobbs being one of them, John Godfrey being another, Craig Hagley and Mike Mangialardi last week broke up into the top 12. So some interesting drivers that are finding momentum maybe at just the right time, and can they keep the consistency going down the home stretch of the regular season?
Long race. He's probably right where he wants to be.
He's
Just
in what we
checking
would
out
call the
Rawson,
chill
too.
zone.
Yeah. We're just checking out Rawson there. What was it? Last week he started in 40. I say started in 41st because they do lottery qualifying. So he started in 41st position and ended up finishing second place, gaining 39 spots. His way to his first podium finish this season. Currently 17th with 127 points. That second place finish bumped him up the current standings 8 spots, 82 points from the leader, which would be McClure.
And he's having another good night as well after starting out back. He's third on that outside line, unofficially around the 8th or 9th position. A driver that is very comfortable with starting at the rear of the field and working his way up to the front. Saw him do that multiple times back when he had that 3-win season.
It's a lot of spots over like that, just one race, and you get that one good finish, and like at that 8 spots he jumped up the list there in the current standings. To 17th is where he is in the standings, and currently over the line he just was a 7th position there. So that'll change, especially when we're 3 wide like this.
But that's one of the
7th to 14th and back to 6th, and you don't know where he is.
That's one of the great things and maybe frustrating things for a driver as well. I mean, drivers will comment the level of competition here is so tight as Craig Hagley. Wow.
Our collective groans helped him straighten that car up.
Man, big save there, as he was almost into the right rear of Javier Negron. But you know, you mentioned about those leaps and bounds that Brian Rawson, with a top 5 finish, a podium finish last week, was able to climb his way up into the top 20 in points. The level of competition is so tight here every Thursday night, and then you throw in the X factor of super speedway racing, the unpredictability. We end up seeing normally in a series that's not super speedway oriented, you can gain a number of spots early on in the season, but then things start to get spread out, and maybe you'll gain a spot or two with a good run each week. Not the case here. We're going to still see when we get to race 8, race 9, the regular season finale, we're still going to see drivers with good runs pick up, I would say, 4 to 6 spots in the standings because the points continually remain so close. I think if I recall correctly, last season in the regular season finale, there were a dozen drivers that still had a mathematical shot of getting up into the top 12 in points for a championship spot going into that race.
Yeah, some of these guys, because it's cool when they put the standings up on that, like the table there that they have, the spreadsheet. Some of them are only 1 point away from the driver in front of them. You know, it's not a massive gap. And like you say, when they get a good finish like that, like Rawson got last week with the second place finish, he's able to jump up 8 spots. We've seen guys jump up a dozen spots after one race just because of how tight it is.
I mean, we mentioned about, you know, the season that Chuck McClure has had and coming off that second victory. He's got a bit of breathing space back to second in the points, but second in the points, Grant Wesley, if you go back to ninth in the standings, Randy Waugh, you're only talking about 35 points difference. That can be made up in just one race alone when we end up having full fields every single week. A lot of points on the table.
We tend to talk a lot about Rodney Sullins with the paint schemes. Bernie Mobbs is a painter as well, and you can see there that he's no stranger to doing some fantastic work. Neck and neck right now with the 56 trying to get a lap lead. So many painters, it's a long list of talented artists painting all these cars and driving them.
We're about to be knotted up 3 wide for the race. Lead here is a big surge on that third line down the back straightaway. Robert Breedlove, that Pepsi Challenger throwback scheme, leading that line with Brian Rawson, Rodney Sullins, Brian Schilling, and others. A lot of fast cars up there, and a couple of names we haven't yet talked about tonight. Schilling in the 4, Tim Nofsker in the 088, and we've already documented beginning of the night the bad luck for Jeremy Jeffries, the defending champion of the series. He's up there as well in that black and green Rick Mast throwback.
Custom camera angles here from a Reddit user named NR Clips. Love this guy. This spectator camera is so cool. Oh, we're getting tight up top.
Finding a silver lining in the dark cloud there for Milt Cerati. Said his engine failure allowed him to be able to watch his Chicago Cubs here tonight.
I don't watch baseball, but whoever the Cubs are playing, I'll root for the other team. Well, the Jays just beat the Yankees. That's insane. We've only got one team, so let's go.
I'm a New Yorker, and I loved seeing the Yankees lose.
Yeah. That would be the Milwaukee Brewers that the Cubs are playing.
Canada, we've only got the one team now, so I mean, I think we lost the Montreal Expos in the 90s. And
yep.
If the Blue Jays don't do much, then that's all we got. I don't watch baseball, but that's pretty awesome.
It's back in the early mid-2000s, I think, is when the Expos became the Nationals.
Okay,
2004, right. 2005, something like that.
Something like that. I want to say maybe 2005, because I think I might be wrong, but I think 2005 was Ryan Zimmerman's rookie year.
Oh yeah, and he played his whole career with that team. So.
Yep.
You notice these guys have now moved down to that yellow line.
There's a reason for it. We went back green on lap 20. We're about 5, maybe 6 laps away.
About 6 projected laps, I was told.
Everybody, I find everybody starts finding their way down there within about 5 or 6. Every week they're pretty consistent. And Bob Dixon will go 3 laps early.
Yep. It's interesting. I've talked with drivers before, and they kind of have timestamps
in terms
92. Of what they do.
Well, oh boy, you
Oh
have a
boy.
big mess here on the front stretch.
The 92 went
Breedlove,
around.
John Godfrey in it.
Said Bobby Farrell in the 92.
Well,
Back it
never
up.
mind the green flag pit stops.
Again, the field bailed out with a timely caution or untimely caution if you wanted to make a green flag pit stop or if you didn't. Depends on the situation. I saw for a brief moment Greg Palmer got a little out of shape on the apron. I don't know if this was in relation to that up ahead or not.
So he was ahead of this. Maybe, yeah, maybe 92 lifted for that, and
Maybe.
was that the 41 behind him?
Yeah, Denny Carroll. Ooh, a couple of late hits into Bobby Farrell from Robert Breedlove and Javier Negron, as well as Robert Spring. Yeah, it looked like a chain reaction of checkup there. Godfrey got spun. Crivello got spun. Bob Dixon got a slight piece. And Brian Schilling had to use every inch of the outside lane, as well as up into the wall, to be able to skirt on by.
It collected a good bunch of cars, but I'm surprised how that 92 of Farrell hooked back across the track that he didn't take out about 12 people.
Yeah.
It's good timing. Like, everybody saw it happening. And it's in the tri-oval too, a lot, as you can see, a lot more pavement down there.
And I'd be a little bit concerned with the contact of the 40 and the 74 because it is front end, but it's only at roughly around, let me see if I can gauge what the speed they're going is. With moderate
The
damage, it
goes
looks like the
around-
point of impact was maybe around 70 miles per hour. I don't think I see anyone that made contact that would make me think they're done for the evening. I think everybody might still be okay.
I think, I don't know if did the 8 make his pit stop? He got spun around there just off the pit exit.
Not sure. I also saw some skid marks over on the apron of turn 1.
No, he didn't. He got on the pit. He got into the pits. Put it fast forward here, and he gets right to the end, about to make his pit stop. The 8 of Glenn Harris we're watching right now, he's going for his pit stall. He gets spun around into the 17 who is pitting. And he's the first pit stall.
Yep.
No, him and
He
the 43
Can't
got
get
together.
to it. So he's going to have to go all the way around and do it again. That's a tough break for Harris. You know what I think?
Well, the good
Back
news
up
for
a
Harris is it looks like at the time that yellow came out, he was running back around the 33rd position. So he's not going to lose a ton of track position. It's not like he was run up inside of the top 5. On top of that, too, as there are a couple of drivers coming down here as well, he's going to be a little bit better on fuel than some of the guys up him. He'll have that extra lap in the tank.
Okay, I noticed that. Bob Seminara, on board with Bob Seminara leaving the pits. This is a real tight move he pulled off to avoid collision. It doesn't look that crazy, but if you put it in chase mode, he really had to thread that needle.
And it's amazing that we're saying that when we talked about at the beginning of the season, this brand new version of Talladega, they widened pit road, but they're still using every inch of it.
Pave the whole front straight, it wouldn't even matter.
Nope.
They'll just go 12 wide.
So they say if you pave it, they will use it.
Looks like Joe DeSpirito won the race off pit road with Jeffrey Elliott alongside. Josh Metallic, Jessica Lorley in row 2. And Greg Palmer and Richard Martin in row 3.
We're going to go back green with 30 laps to go. This is going to be interesting because we know that obviously the median amount of laps that drivers normally can go is about 19 laps. if you can manage to save a lap of fuel during this run, you could come down pit road and only take on a can of fuel. But if you aren't able to save, you're going to probably be forced to take a can and a half on the final pit stop. And may not seem like much, but the amount of time that you spend on pit road and don't have to take that extra half can, that can translate to a good chunk of track position. We'll have to see if we continue a long green flag run here, and if we do get to a green flag pit stop cycle, what drivers might be able to come down pit road and only take on that one can of fuel. We didn't need any free passes or lucky dogs here. Everybody was on the lead lap when that caution came out. We do have another driver back behind the wall, though, Dan Paneto, and the 71, about 10 laps ago. His machine to pit road and made the left turn to the garage, where he joins Milt Surratt. 35 drivers still running, all on the lead lap, getting ready for 30 laps remaining here tonight at Talladega. And apparently I took Rod Weston's line. I'm sorry, Rod.
Oh yeah, if we pave it, we'll drive on it. Yep. Yeah, thanks everybody. Of course, thanks to the sponsors too. I always forget to mention Redline Performance Motorsports for sponsoring the season number 66 in cahoots with Rodney Sullen's paints. Thanks, RPM. Thanks everybody for watching and driving, and a lot of people come together to make this stuff happen.
Been an incredible season so far as well. And we're only just past the halfway point of the regular season. We still got the playoffs and everything to go.
Yeah. Anybody who might be watching this who doesn't know what's going on, every single car on the track is being driven by an actual person. So that is super cool.
Making
and
some
every single
headway.
person knows how to super speedway race too, which makes it even better.
Oh yeah. They're making some headway on that outside line. Greg Palmer leading the way. Jeffrey Elliott, Jessica Lorley, Grant Wesley, and others.
Palmer, a couple of top fives here in the first 5 races of the season. Currently sits in the cut line spot, if you will. The top 12 in points, whether they've won or not, are guaranteed at the end of the regular season to participate in the playoffs. Palmer currently in that 12th spot.
Now they're getting a third lane going. Saw the 55 leading it. Now Jessica Lorley goes up there now. There's Greg Palmer going to lead this thing now.
Also up in that outside line, see the 77 of Donnie Garrett had connection problems, fell out of the server, and got his lap back via a lucky dog. Evening didn't start out all that great for him either. On the initial start of the race, he was the one that clobbered Mark Paglia off the corner of turn number 2, but the server reset, and he's back up here now fighting inside of the top 10.
Yeah, it looks like we got Fluid Studios on both. People are in both chats. It's funny, most people I think are watching the FRM broadcast because I'm getting different chats. I've got both chats open, so it's hard to keep track of both. But yeah, thanks everybody for the interaction. That's awesome. I got David Chin on the Tarnation side. The fact that everybody wants to come hang out and watch this stuff on a Thursday night is always pretty awesome.
That's a testament to the drivers as well. Never fails to entertain here in the Talladega Challenge Series, and you never know what kind of a finish you're going to get to. We've had everything from photo finishes to fuel strategy races.
Yeah.
What are we in for tonight?
That front row there just moved to the high side.
Boy,
where's Palmer going?
Greg Palmer trying to Reminds me of what Darrell Waltrip used to say about Kyle Busch, the only guy that can go 3 wide by himself. I think he just did that.
I was going to say, was Alan Kulwicki known as a blocker?
I don't remember him. I mean, granted, Quickie raced, back in the early 90s. I'm not old enough to remember seeing him race, but from what I've seen on YouTube, I don't remember seeing him being, an aggressive driver like that, but...
Yeah, speaking of YouTube, it's cool that NASCAR actually puts up full races. That's pretty neat. You can go back in time and watch, 4, 5, 6 hour long broadcasts. And speaking of 5, 6 hour long broadcasts, you guys doing the 00300 for David Cannon, and Sean Prime ends up winning that thing under green. So cool.
Yeah, an incredible race. Some incredible heat races leading up to that as well, both of which went green from start to finish. It was kind of like dueling duels of who was going to get their qualifying heat done first.
Were yellows
great action
enabled?
There were no yellows.
They were enabled. There were just no cautions. We did have a flip at pit road entry, but it didn't bring out a yellow in one of the dual races. But they ran green from start to finish. And it's interesting you bring up, it was really cool to see Sean Prime, after all the effort he put into the organization of that event, to take the checkered flag. The guy that rode second and pushed him to that victory is out in front leading this race, Greg Palmer. So you have to wonder, maybe some momentum from last Saturday night, could that carry over into this evening?
Yeah, it was the same track right here, this version of Talladega, same one they ran in Saturday night, so... Yeah, that was just a great broadcast to be a great broadcast to be a part of. Probably might have been the best race I've ever seen, that I've ever been a part of a broadcast of. Just a great night, all in all, great racing, and just a great cause.
Well, don't look now.
On board with the 55 of Ken Roberts, just showing you what it looks like from the driver's seat of one of these things.
And that driver he's pushing, the defending champion of the series, Jeremy Jeffries, up here side by side for the 5th position. We've documented the tough luck he's had this season. It's incredible to me, with only 5 races currently concluded, that a driver can have 2 top 10 finishes and still be 30th in the standings. That just shows the hard luck he's had in those races when he didn't finish top 10. Whoa, we're getting squirrely back mid-pack. Chuck McClure, Rodney Sullins, maybe a little bumper grab, maybe a little contact with the inside line, but he got it back organized again, and we avoid some disaster there, but that would have been right in the corner. That would have been a massive wreck if they hadn't been able to keep those noses pointed in the right direction. Jeffrey Elliott now trying to move up and get to the back bumper of Richard Martin on that inside line, kind of the link in the chain, if you will, from Martin back to Schilling, who's got Grant Wesley in tow. Now Jessica Lorley going to jump to that inside line. Elliott with the Talladega Nights sponsorship, and we'll be seeing the new season of the Shake and Bake series this coming Saturday night on FRN. First 2 races of the season.
2 races in one night?
Yes, indeed.
Huh, interesting.
Some shootouts, if you will.
Ah.
We had that about 6 to 8 car pile-up across the start-finish line that brought out our most recent yellow. Said it looked like most everybody involved had very minor contact, and that appears to be the case. All 35 drivers that are still in this race are currently up in this lead pack, only about 2.5 second separation from first back to 35th.
That's only because they're running 2 wide. If they were all running 3 wide, that number would be probably around 1 second.
I mentioned about when we went back green how the lap that the restart was on was going to be interesting in terms of fuel strategy. For Greg Palmer, who's led the last 6 laps here, he's not fuel saving. He can't. As the race leader, there's no way that you can create the draft for everybody behind you, have clean air to the nose, and save fuel. So he is absolutely going to have to come to pit road and take on a can and a half of fuel, as I believe the caution is out. Every time I talk about fuel, I don't know what it is.
Yep.
I need to stop doing this. Bernie Mobbs, Robert Spring, Robert Breedlove, Craig Hagley amongst those collected up. Some pretty good rear end damage on that Ohio State Toyota.
And we were focused up front, so it happened near the back.
Looked like Craig Hagley tried to tuck back down in line behind Robert Breedlove, and when he did, maybe over-rotated when he turned left. It put him down onto the apron, which of course enters him into the corner shallower than everyone ahead. Breedlove, I think, was lifting for the checkup in front of him, and the 82 gets the 931 in the left rear quarter panel.
.931. Wow, it hooked hard right. Breedlove there went right into the wall.
Also got Jeff Crivello pretty good in the
Snapped around.
left side.
Oh, he's probably feeling really good. He avoided the 82, and then he was at the 931 that came up and got him at the last minute.
Bobby Farrell might have gotten a slight piece of that. Bob Dixon got into the back of Robert Spring, but looked like relatively minor contact for those drivers. And that was some pretty good contact there, too, for Jeff Crivello. Looks like that may actually be taking him out of the race. And all my spiel about fuel, well, take all those playbooks, throw them out the window. We can make it the rest of the way now.
You mentioned what kind of finish are we in for tonight. It's not going to involve fuel mileage.
No,
so
it will
cross
not.
that off the list there.
Like we had the 21 of Randy Wass
Luigi.
out. Bad bonus point there. He was 26th when that caution waved, so net gain to get a bonus point there. And then he'll be on pit road. Looks like Craig Hagley had the same idea, although I believe Craig will come around the second time, taking the penalty for bringing out this yellow flag. And the battle off of pit road is going to be won by Joe DeSpirito. Now, there's a lot more laps that will be left to be run when we go back green, but we've seen a running trend here in the last month or so. When we get around that 10 laps to go mark, we have a late race yellow, and whoever is able to be the control car, whether it's winning the battle off of pit road or winning the race back to the caution flag, they've been able to then control the rest of the race and eventually find victory lane. DeSpirito's been able to do that. Grant Wesley and most recently Chuck McClure last week. With DeSpirito coming off pit road here and more than likely going to cycle as the race leader, it'll be interesting to see if he's going to be able to hold everybody off like he did a couple of weeks ago and maybe join Chuck McClure as a multi-time winner here in season 66.
Make sure to check Flat Out Racing Network's YouTube page because they're going to ASR Super Speedway Series on Sundays. They're covering Tarnation TV because, you know, it's October and we do Halloween stuff, so we take the month off almost. But thanks for running the assist there so Brian Wolf can get all of his races seen. So we did the first 4, you guys will do the last 4. You guys go green, I think, around 7:30 or live around 7:30, I would imagine, right?
Yep, roughly about that
7:30,
time.
8 o'clock, yeah.
About 8
And of
o'clock,
course,
yep.
We're back here on the 16th, which will be next Thursday for more Rolling Thunder. Talladega Challenge. The one and only. Did we have knockout qualifying this evening? I don't think we did.
We did not. Nope, not this
Pretty
evening.
close,
We had 37 drivers take the green flag tonight. That's still a lot of points up for grabs, though.
Yeah. A lot of drivers.
You mentioned about the ASR Super Speedway Series, and if the race we covered this past Sunday night is anything to go by, oh boy, this is going to be a tight championship battle here with 3 races left to go. Chuck Taylor and Brian Rawson, they're in a bit of a dogfight right now. Rawson coming off a good run. Chuck Taylor ran into some issues and gave up some points. A couple other drivers that maybe can get up here in the closing stages and try and snipe the championship away as well. And everybody trying to figure out the Rodney Sullins formula. He ended up winning 3 races in a row earlier on this season, got his 4th win this past Sunday night. He's been able to figure out that Burnt Screwdriver's Raceway track pretty well, and he'll, if you see him in the field on Sunday, he'll be looking for a series-leading 5th trip to victory lane.
His consistency over there is insane, because in season number 1, SMO Racing League had us booked in for a tribute to Hawk, who passed away a while ago. And they'll lock that race in 9 months in advance. So ASR pushed their finale 1 race, like they pushed it 1 week. And that was a race that Rodney Sullins wasn't able to make it. And he was running down Brian Wolf for that championship, and it was going to be, like you said, you used the word dogfight, and it was going to be really close in points. But because we had to push 1 week, Rodney was on holidays and they weren't in town, so it allowed Brian to get the championship.
Yeah, Rodney, I believe, has been on a bit of a part-time schedule the last couple of weeks as well, which is why he's currently not in the championship hunt down the home stretch of the season, but doesn't make him any less hungry of trying to get to victory lane. He's trying to do so here tonight as well, restarting up inside of the top 10. He was 9th when they crossed the line here for the restart. 15 laps to go. Everybody's good to make it on fuel, so now it's pretty much whatever happens on the racing surface between now and the checkered flag.
Speaking of restarts right there, Joe DeSpirito got a nice push there from Bob Seminara at the very start. He jumped out to a bit of a lead. They've caught him back now, but
I haven't seen Alton watching the races on the Thursdays. I wonder if he's only able to watch on the Sundays.
Yeah. No, I haven't
father.
seen him either for the last couple of weeks.
Hey, Rodney, where's your dad?
Yeah.
Come on.
I believe we're at the point of the race now. If a caution comes out, they race back to the line.
That would be correct.
You know, I figured it out. Knowing Dad's, he's probably just drinking a beer, barbecuing something.
I was going to say, maybe it's motivation, too. Maybe he won't pop up in our chat until Rodney wins a race.
There you go. Yeah, he doesn't. He's not going to watch unless his kid wins. He's like,
That's right.
It's rigged.
As long as he's the one drinking the beer and not Rodney right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Emar hanging tough in that outside line there. He's getting some good pushes from Ken Roberts, Josh Metallic. The momentum is seemingly even between these two lines. Inside line gets that better entry, the shorter way into the corner. And then the outside line draws up even with them with the surge off the corner and down the straightaways. The one thing that this middle line does not want to see right now is a third line form, because if that happens, then there goes all their energy. I did not know that Martin was clear. I thought he got an errant bump from Ken Roberts and was going to bounce off the door of Joe DeSpirito.
It looked like he was losing control, but that's just how he changes lanes, apparently.
Wow. Heart-stopping moment for the commentary booth. Gracious.
I wonder why he would choose to move off that middle lane.
Exactly what you're seeing right now, that third line forming. if the energy is going to go away from the middle line, bailing to the inside is the best choice for Richard Martin, because
okay.
you're going to see him very shortly here, I believe, start to pull out away from Ken Roberts. Joe DeSpirito, Bob Seminara will probably follow suit.
With that third line coming, it might compromise the middle.
You see Roberts going to move down there as well, but he almost wasn't quite clear.
Oh my God. Oh, here we go.
Don't have room, make room.
Yellow's up.
Boy, I have to say that pack really split up right there. That makes sense. And oh boy,
A lot of drivers in this one, including our
Another one
front
up
row.
front. Oh no.
Chuck McClure
Holy
and Glenn
moly.
Harris.
Wow. Two different wrecks on the same lap. Who's stuck in the fence? 31 of Mobs stuck on the fence just before the finish line.
And I don't think that car is coming back out. Fortunately, the field had already come around to take the caution, so they're not going to be coming back through that vicinity at speed. Ken Roberts won the battle back. McClure is crawling to pit road. That engine may actually be done.
So
Bob
Jeffrey
Dixon's
Elliott
on
is
pit
there too.
road.
Oh,
boy,
man.
Bernie Mobs looks like Tony Stewart at Infineon back in 2011. Got set up into the fence by Brian Vickers and just stayed there until a tow truck came. Oh
Trying
man!
to find a point of where the first one came out. It looks at the end of the back straightaway.
Yeah, it was going into 3. Rodney Sullins, I think, was the first driver out of shape. They checked up massively from Palmer back to Causey, back to Sullins, back to McClure.
They almost
Like
made
another-
it work, but McClure, yeah.
Oh boy, yeah, I can see why McClure might be out of the race right there. That was a hard hit, got upside down.
Top 10 streak might come to an end at 5 races.
The 40 to 56 to 17. And then there was another accident coming to the stripe. I got it in slow motion so I can find it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that one coming to the stripe there. That could have
Oh,
been.
it was the 024 and the 088 on that top line, just hooked a little bit. This second accident was actually worse than the first one.
Gosh,
Goodness
31
gracious.
velocity with which he came into that wreck.
Yeah, where'd he come
sliding in. I think he must have gotten bumped from behind or something.
Backing it up, yeah. He sees it happening. He's got lots of space. Oh, Cyber went to avoid.
And then the redirect from Brian
Yeah.
Lawson just shoots him up into the catch fence. And there were a lot of drivers that were running well collected up in this. Josh Metallic had been about a top 5, top 10 car all evening. He was in that. Tim Knopfsker was right in the center of that. And Jeremy Jeffries, we talk about the bad luck for him coming off that championship season 1 season ago. He was collected up in this as well as Mike Mangialardi.
Josh Metallic rode the wall right there. Looked like something that would happen to Ryan Newman at Talladega right there.
Watching that 31 soar backwards into that fence from this camera angle is insane.
Before we saw it, before we looked at the replay of that wreck that happened coming back to the stripe, our FRN colleague Jessica Loreley was just telling me, like, I don't know how. She said something like, "Oh, I don't know how I managed to save that." I didn't know what she meant, but yeah, I definitely see what happened now. That is that wreck could have been even bigger. It looks like.
Ty Jones, he was back behind Dennis McCarthy and Bernie Mobs, and Mobs was stuck in the fence. He got a big hit late as well. Oh, it looked like maybe John Godfrey, and then Bob Dixon got him just past the start-finish line. That would explain why Bob Dixon had to call the tow back to pit road. I think that shot may have killed the engine on the STP Dodge.
I'm watching it from the cockpit of Jessica Loreley. That she was in the right spot, man, because that whole thing happened right around, and she just drove out of it.
Yeah, there weren't many in that vicinity that were able to get through unscathed. Looked like Lauralee, Seminara, Schilling, Hagley, and Carroll were some of the lucky few. Most everybody else, they got swept up in it.
So retired cars this evening: Milt Surratt, Dan Pantaleo, Crivello's out 8 laps ago, and then in this wreck here we watched, unfortunately, let's see, Jeffrey Elliott, Javier Negron, Chuck McClure, and Bob Dixon were forced to retire. So far, that's what we're seeing. Only 4. Elliott out, he led 14 laps. That's unfortunate.
Jury's out on Bernie Mobbs. He called the tow back to pit road. We'll have to wait and see once they
that's going to be a
decide
long
to
tow.
service. Or if
That's going to be a long tow right there.
are able to salvage something, repair that could get him back out there, log some laps, or if he'll be done for the night as well.
I feel like there's going to be a good number of cars that are going to be a bit off the pace after that wreck too. I mean, it didn't. The ones that didn't get knocked out, there were a lot of hard hits in that race, so, in that wreck.
I would say looking towards the back of the pack, John Godfrey, Josh Metallic, Tim Nofsker, Cy Jones would probably fall into that category you're talking about there. But hey, if the engine's still running and you're still on the lead lap, you never know. We just had 2 massive wrecks right there. We could see another one, and we're getting closer to that point of no return as well. Yeah, you may currently be running back outside of the top 25, but depending on what happens here in the closing stages, you could still, it is not impossible when it comes to super speedway racing that you could still leave tonight with a top 10 finish.
Just scrolling through the cars there, just scroll by Paglia after the restart. Of course, he's back on the lead lap.
Paglia got a little bit of contact in that wreck. I don't think he got much damage, but he did have a little contact with Josh Metallic, so we can add him into the total of drivers that were collected up in those 2 incidents. Is green flag back out, 8 laps to go. Ken Roberts out in front here in the 55. Now this is interesting because Ken comes into this race 51st in points. He's only accumulated 14 points this season. If he goes to victory lane, would there be enough time? Would there be enough races for him to get up to 20th in points and get one of those wild card spots?
I don't know. Being that deep in points, it's like a lot of people abandon that outside line. The bottom line is where it's at right now. Richard Martin's still leading it. He's got the 4 Brian Schilling right behind him, Bob Seminara behind him. But they look a lot more organized on the bottom right now.
Couple sighs of relief if you're Chuck McClure. Obviously the heartbreak of not being able to extend the top 10 streak, but you know you've got those 2 victories, you're locked into the postseason, plus the fact as well you came into the bracket challenge as the number 1 seed. Cody Lamas was who he was going up against here tonight, and Cody not in the field, so even despite finishing out of the race in 32nd, McClure will move on to the next round.
Oh, and that's Denny Carroll that was behind Schilling, not Seminara.
This evening, 201.312 miles per hour. Brian Rawson, 47.5 second lap. That's been up there for a while.
He set that very early on in this race, too, after starting at the back of the pack.
If Shadows on Fire is still watching, because I believe Seminaire in the 712, I believe that's his uncle. So that would be Bob Seminaire's nephew, I think.
Right now, Bob in that 4th position. First one having to fight against that outside line, being led by Richard Martin. Seminara, another driver that's struggling in points. He's just looking for a good run tonight, and we're going to have a big one in the tri-oval. That was about 5th place on back, and they're still wrecking all the way down to the start-finish line.
Man, it was such a good race. These last 2 accidents have been massive.
Turning into a survival fest.
2 on 1 lap. Up until the last, maybe 10 laps or so, it was great.
easier to count the number of drivers that got through the wreck than those that were involved. I think maybe 10 drivers at most did not get involved in that incident. Tri-oval wreck that occurred up around the 4th, 5th position.
Right on board here with Billy Elliser in slow-mo. Where are you going to go, Billy?
Miscalculation by Greg Palmer. As he moved up from the bottom to the top.
Billy Elliser went from 25th to 16th on that. Going slow, just driving around people.
And looking at it from the helicopter cam, so Palmer's move was fine. He was clear of the 43 when he was moving up. The problem for him was there was a tight draft on that outside line, and the energy, the surge forward at the last minute caused him to bumper grab off the front of the 43 of Richard Martin. Rodney Sullins, Mark Paglia, Jessica Loreley, Glenn Harris, Terry Bombard. I mean, the list goes on and on. John Godfrey, Robert Spring, Donnie Garrett, Jeremy Jeffries involved once again. And there were not very many light hits in this wreck. A roof hit into the outside wall for Terry Bombard. After some contact with, I think that was the 8 of Glenn Harris, our pole sitter.
Oh. Just got
Jeremy
clipped.
Jeffries almost got through it all, and then the last second he gets into Mike Mangialardi. That's a lot of drivers who were spending the entire night up inside of the top 10. I mean, Palmer, Loreley,
Helicopter
Sullins.
view from the one. You're right. Helicopter view is there's like a tornado around them. Look at that.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers are having a good run throughout the entire race, as you just mentioned there. And
Didn't hit anything, and then got tagged on his way out of it.
Yeah, 17 of Jessica Loreley went up and over, barrel rolling after contact from 28 of Mark Paglia, who was backwards, kind of a reverse T-bone, I guess you could call it. And not only is the list short of those that got through the wreck, the list's probably pretty short now in this upcoming restart of drivers that are going to be up to speed. In those last 3 wrecks under these last 2 yellow flags, there are a lot of drivers that are probably dealing with some sort of aero damage, maybe some sort of engine damage. Aero damage as well. I mean, who do we have left is going to be the question here. And this is going to probably be our final restart of the night as well. We're coming to 3 laps to go. So whatever happens, happens from this point on.
I'd say probably the first 10 or 12 might be clean here, but we'll see.
So, I'm just laughing how Paglia goes in reverse to get over the line.
It's race back.
Got a much better start there than Roberts. But they got more cars on that inside line.
Brian Rossi did not get going. I don't know if it was the checkup or if he missed a gear, but there's a massive gap in that middle line now. Chuck McClure out of the race. The other 3 previous winners on the season all locked up together. 3rd, 4th, 5th, Carroll, DeSpirito, and Wesley. Three wide around 6th. Spirito in the middle, Schilling on the bottom, Rawson on the top with help from Kelly Causey. Top 5 going to break away. Ken Roberts, Bob Seminare looking for their first wins on the season. 5th place back there, Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Looking for his first win of his career.
believe Denny Carroll in the 41 has led the most laps here this season. I can't remember the exact number, but I think he's got the most laps led, although he hasn't led any tonight.
All right, here we go. Coming to the white flag. Wesley to the outside briefly.
And that's going to end this race. Caution is out. And Ken Roberts only had to make a few hundred feet to the start-finish line to be able to win this race under yellow. We talk about in the closing stage when we get to that point of no return. Sometimes it comes down to the timing of when the caution comes out. And it was timely for Ken Roberts. Everybody else would have loved to have had that extra 2.66 miles to formulate some kind of a move. And this will be an interesting story to follow the rest of the regular season. If Ken Roberts, now with this victory, can he accumulate enough points in the upcoming 3 races to get into the playoffs?
Cyber and the 38 got together, I think. Yeah.
A couple of drivers that were collected up in that previous caution as well.
Yeah, you wonder about, too, like that yellow comes out basically right there, and then the 55 just goes, oh, okay. It's like you said, there's literally no time for anybody to plan anything.
Nope, no time to be able to formulate a move, no time for the energy to generate to make a move like that.
Sounds like there were 2 wrecks on that last lap. Yeah, Mark Paglia was involved in one of them there.
Like it might have been coming back to caution here. Oh, actually, it was a follow-up of the Rodney Sullins-Cy Jones incident.
You're at the 55.
Paglia again threw it into reverse, getting involved in that wreck to cross the line at 23rd.
I think there was more to it than that there.
Ken Roberts going to become the 5th race winner on the season. Driver that came into tonight 51st in points.
Wonder what the bump in that situation will be. That'll be cool to see. Final points. Count on that.
Funny too, because if we had had a full field here tonight, Ken would have had to qualify his way into the show.
Guys wrecking it up here after the checkered flag here. I hope they cross the start-finish line.
I believe they have. Number of drivers with some damaged race cars after those last couple of yellows thinking, how much worse can it get? And Roberts in that Mountain Dew throwback. Darrell Waltrip throwback, gonna burn it down here at Talladega Super Speedway. And now the question that'll be on everybody's minds is, would he be able to accumulate enough points? He only has to get into the top 20 in the standings for his win to count towards a spot in the postseason. Can it be done in 3 more races?
Well, there were a number of no-shows tonight, so that'll definitely help out there. So,
I believe his gap coming into tonight between where he was and that 20th in the standings cut line was 94 points. Bob Seminaire is going to bring it home in second. Denny Carroll will cross the line in third. This might bring him back up into the conversation for the regular season championship. Grant Wesley's going to gain a chunk of ground on Chuck McClure, as will Brian Schilling. They're going to finish in 4th and 6th. They were 29 and 30 points behind Chuck coming into this evening, and Chuck finished back in 32nd out of the race. So what was some breathing space for McClure is certainly going to vanish at the conclusion of this one. A good run here tonight for Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
In 5th position, Joe DeSpirito. In 7th behind Schilling, Kelly Causey, Brian Rawson, and Robert Spring. I'll have to check and see. This might be Robert's first top 10 on the season, so great run there for the 074 as he was caught up in a couple of those wrecks here tonight. Good job persevering to bring it home solidly with a top 10 run. And let's see if now as the dust...
Yep, that'll be, Robert Spring had no top 10s.
A great run for him. 33rd in points coming into tonight.
Good run for that Ohio State car.
A lot of drivers, though, either finished the race with wrecked goods or did not reach the conclusion. It's going to shake up the point stands for sure. I believe that those last couple of wrecks are going to shake up the bracket challenge standings as well. May have some upsets going into week number 3. Let's see if we can get a hold of our podium finishers here tonight after the dust has settled in a wild 6th race of the season. Let's see if we can grab a hold of 3rd place finisher Denny Carroll. Hey, Denny, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Howdy.
Great run for you here tonight. A little bit of hard luck last week, but maybe getting those points back here tonight. You have that victory, of course, that locks you into the postseason, but some good consistency midway portion of the season. The timing of that yellow had to be frustrating. We saw a number of you guys there inside of the top 5 kind of testing the waters, putting that right front fender out, seeing if you made the move, if anybody would go with you. Obviously, the timing of that yellow, just no time to be able to make any kind of moves.
Yeah, I was just wanting to make sure I was on the bottom because the last 2 races here, the Saturday race and last Thursday, both final restarts, had to start in the middle and the outside line would form, and man, it will send you straight backwards, and there ain't nothing you can do about it because you can't get to the bottom or the top. You're just stuck.
We ended up seeing a number of late yellows here as well, and a couple of them happened up towards the front of the field. As a matter of fact, one that happened in the tri-oval, we mentioned you were one of about 4 drivers that were able to just skirt through. How nerve-wracking was it this evening with quite a number of big ones? Denny, did we lose you? We might have lost him. Denny, you still there?
Yeah, maybe next week we can win us another one.
Well, there you go. Well, Denny, congratulations on the great run here tonight. Bringing it home solidly in the podium. Going to close up some ground there on that overall points lead as well. 3 races left to go till you fight for the championship. Before we let you go, though, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
I just like to thank God, my family, and Rodney Sullins for painting me a bullet. Man, this car is fast, and I've had really good luck with it. He done a good job on this one. So just thanks to you and all the guys that do this, and RTG for letting me race here. Thanks, guys.
Denny Carroll brings home 3rd place here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. Another solid run for the Silver Bullet Chevrolet. Best of luck next week as we begin the home stretch of the regular season.
Success.
See if we can get a hold of the driver that brings it home in 2nd place here tonight as Chevrolets sweep the top 3. Let's grab a hold of Bob Seminara. Hey, Bob, it's the guys up here in the FRN and Tarnation TV booth. You got us.
Yeah, what's going on, fellas?
Man, I'll tell you what, we've seen this 712. It's had its ups and downs here this season. Tonight, it's an up, but so close to a victory. We saw a couple of times it looked like maybe you were testing the waters, seeing if you stepped out, if anybody would go with you as you tried to make your way around the 55, but the timing of that yellow has to be frustrating.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that last lap was going to be interesting because I think Schilling or Grant, they were coming in the 2nd lane there, and I was trying to decide if I was going to ride with Kenny. I know he hasn't won in a while, and I needed to win. But yeah, it was pretty much I couldn't do anything with them.
So you kind of partially answered my next question, but I'll ask it regardless here. Obviously, coming into this race, 27th in the point standing, still quite a chunk of the regular season left to go. Points are still close, but did you come into tonight's race with a must-win mentality, or do you think that a second-place finish here tonight is a good stepping stone to be able to, if not win, be able to point your way into the postseason?
Yeah, I was looking for a top 5, but starting 32nd, I didn't think I was going to have a shot at the win. But so overall, I'm happy with it, with all the DNFs and damage I've been running with. So yeah, this is a big one. Happy birthday, Kyle. But yeah, so
thank you.
I'll take it.
Obviously as well, a good time to find some consistency down the home stretch here. A lot of incidents tonight, some big ones in the closing stages of this race, not only going to shake up the point standings, but also shake up the bracket challenge and everything. How difficult has it been this season to kind of predict things happening? I know that we always talk about super speedway racing being the X factor, but sometimes drivers are able to establish a groove, if you will, of momentum. It seems like nobody's been really able to establish that in these first 6 races.
Yeah, it's hard. It's just 3 wide most of the time, and these guys are so good. It's just the slight little moves that get you messed up, or being in the wrong lane on a restart. And luckily, I think I got to the bottom there the last couple of laps, got away from the top. So yeah, it's hard to place yourself and get the luck, and avoiding chaos on pit road was big tonight because cars were coming in when I was coming out. And so I was able to maintain pretty well. Gambled on fuel. I think a few guys took can and a half. We only took a can. Kept our track position. So yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Well, some pretty good news for you. Not only do you net your second top 5 on the season, but with the points still as close as they are, I'm privileged to tell you, you jumped 10 spots in the standings here tonight with this runner-up finish from 27th to 17. So it definitely looks like if you aren't able to find victory lane, pointing into the playoffs still very much a possibility.
Yeah, that's pretty big with the luck I've had. So yeah, that's good. Congrats to Ken on the win there. But yeah, it was a fun race. Avoided a couple of close calls. Glad they did the reset because there were a lot of us that were damaged.
Well, during the course of the night, we had Shadows on Fire in our chat rooting you on. You almost get that one position better, but a great performance here tonight. Solid podium finish in second. Before we let you go, Bob, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, thank you, Seth. I'd like to thank FRN and Blaine and the gang there, and RTG, best place to race. Enjoy this tally challenge. Sean, everything he's doing, and all the admins that are helping out. Rodney Sullins Paints and Redline Motorsports and everybody that donates keep this thing going. My boys at Mobs Motors, Bernie's Paints, Shadows on Fire, Q, LC, FTMF, giddy up. Come back next week.
Bob Simonera, second place here tonight. He'll look for that one position better next week as he seemed to find a bit of momentum here midway portion of the regular season. Congratulations on the great run. Best of luck here in these remaining 3 races.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
And let's even go down to victory lane and dial up our 5th different winner on the season. Tonight, it's Ken Roberts. Hey, Ken, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
10-4.
Hey, a great run for you here this evening, able to hold them all off. Now, I'm going to ask you, did you have a plan to keep them at bay if you guys did have that final lap under green, or were you more than happy to see that caution waving along with the white flags you guys came around through the tri-oval?
Oh, I was very glad to see that caution. Very glad to see that.
Now, coming into tonight, only 14 points accumulated in your limited number of starts. The victory is a step in the right direction, but with 3 races left to go, what's the confidence level you can accumulate enough points to get up above that 20th in the standings cut line and get yourself a spot in the postseason?
Yeah, that's a pretty tall mountain to climb, I think, but maybe we can get some really good finishes, some top 5s, maybe top 10s in there, and just see what happens. I mean, it's it's tough out here. There's a lot of good racers in here, and anything can happen.
One of the big keys of the night certainly seemed to be to stay out of trouble. We saw quite a number of massive wrecks in the final 20 laps of this race that completely changed the landscape of the top 5, the top 10, and of course affected the bracket challenge as well. How difficult was it to be able to maneuver your way or stay ahead or out of the vicinity of a lot of those incidents tonight?
Yeah, there was 2 that I dodged. I got lucky. One of them is more like the seas parted, and I just got lucky. But the other one, I took a hard left, tried to get into the clearing, and so I was able to get through them. Had some good pit stops, and took a can on that last pit stop there around lap 20. So was going to be close. So those extra cautions we helped with the gas mileage. So yeah, I just tried to get up front and see what you can do, in the last 10 laps or so, and it worked out for me.
And congratulations on the victory here tonight. 5th different driver to go to victory lane. It's going to be really interesting for us, since we love the stats so much, of watching to see you try and carve a path to the postseason now and get up into that top 20 in the points. But got the hard part out of the way with the victory here this evening. We'll let you get back to celebrating in a moment, but first we're going to give the opportunity for victory lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Well, first I'd like to thank you guys for doing the broadcast. They're absolutely amazing. And this one especially, I can't wait to go back and watch it. Thank my teammates at Redline, Rodney Solins for the paint. That's the first time I've run that car. It's that throwback Mountain Dew car. He did an awesome job on that. But he does an awesome job on all of them, really. Thank the guys at RTG, Josh, and all the admins. That's a tough job, getting as many guys lined up and get them out here and get them racing and stuff. So and then, we'll see what we can do. I mean, we got a couple weeks left, and maybe we can make some moves.
It'll be a lot of fun to watch. Ken Roberts, the winner here tonight in race number 6 of the Talladega Challenge Series. Congratulations on the job well done, and best of luck here on your road to try and make it into the playoffs.
All right, thanks. Oh, happy birthday, Kyle.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one, guys.
Ken Roberts, your winner here this evening, and going to be a slightly different narrative than what we're used to, because we talk about McClure with 2 victories. He's locked into Spirito, Grant Wesley, Denny Carroll. They're up there in the point standings, all inside of the top 6, so they're looking pretty safe to stay up inside of the top 20 in points. They're obviously fighting for regular season championship, and the win has them locked into a playoff spot. For Ken Roberts, now we do have the updated points. He managed to jump from 51st to now 37th in points. The gap between him and 20th in the standings is 71 points. So it's a complete different narrative where you've got a victory, but the pressure is still on.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, if you're that far back, are you really feeling like you have a lot of pressure, honestly? Like, I don't know.
That's even better.
Yeah,
you just go in loosey-goosey, and then stuff like this happens.
Yeah, I mean, if it was me, if I was in that position, I feel like I really got nothing to lose. If I'm just go out and be aggressive, see what you can do. So
he's got 3 more races to work with, and we came into tonight with Chuck McClure having 29 points back to his nearest competitor in Grant Wesley going into next week. How about 5 points separating the top 4 in the standings? 2 points up on Grant Wesley, 5 back to a tie for third between Denny Carroll and Brian Schilling. So just like that, in the blink of an eye, typical of super speedway racing, it completely turns the standings on its head, and that regular season championship is up for grabs once again.
Yeah, here we were saying that Chuck McClure was probably the most comfortable person in the field that's running for the championship, and unfortunately for him, gets caught up in a wreck, and that comfortable lead that he had is no longer comfortable. So it's going to be interesting to see these next few races.
It definitely will, as drivers fight for those last spots in the playoffs as well. We're probably going to see the aggression level continue to ramp up, getting closer and closer to that regular season finale in race 9. So we saw some very field and standings determining wrecks here in the closing stage of this one might be the same narrative in these upcoming 3 races. Going to be an interesting one to see who is able to get through all the mayhem and be able to make their way into a postseason berth. But that's going to do it for our coverage here tonight. Congratulations to Ken Roberts as he becomes the new winner in season 66 of the Talladega Challenge Series. Becomes the 5th different driver to do so, and now looks to make his way into the top 20 in points for a playoff position. We hope everybody enjoyed our coverage here tonight. We're right back at it next Thursday night for race number 7. 3 races left in the regular season. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the green flag is scheduled to fly. For Blaine Donlin, Kyle Matthews, I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast in conglomeration between Tarnation TV and the Flat Out Racing Network.